we'll call the annual meeting of members to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. First item is the introduction of the current board. I'm Jason Lloyd, chairperson, Jackie Gain, vice chair, Jerry Barron. We have Sandy Fostick, David Brandenburg, Jeff Hendren, JB Portillo, Deborah, and I always butcher your name, I'm sorry, and Kathleen Coughlin. And we need a motion for the approval of the 2024 annual meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, JB.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor? 9-0. Thank you. Turn it over to Bob with the election committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this working? Good. Can't hear myself. On behalf of the election committee, there I heard it, with everyone who is here this evening, and that is Margaret Colleen, Mary Sinkus, and Dalkey and Paul Bickford, excuse me. I'm here to announce the results of the election for officers for the POA board. And so the slides would be, as you can see, the 19% voting, and you can read the totals there as the top 3 candidates were elected. Congratulations to all 3 of these people. Is there another slide for the election committee? I didn't think so. Thank you all very much. We are finished here.
Okay, so we're going to continue on with our annual presentation. We're going to have a little bit different presentation than we have done in previous years. We're going to cover the audited financials second. So first of all, we want to talk about the assessment increase campaign that's going to be kicking off pretty soon here. Critical dates here on the far left-hand side is the vote would begin on June 23rd. It would end on August 19th. And if the assessment increase is approved by the membership, it would kick in on March 1st of 2026. Several people have asked why we're starting so soon. We would like to have the answer before the budget process begins. So that's the main reason. The proposed increases are $5 for improved and $1 increase for unimproved. If the assessment increase is approved by the membership, we will keep our amenity usage fees the exact same for 3 more years. So that means that our fees which originally started on March 1st of 2020, would carry forward all the way through February 28th of 2029. So if you're a golfer, your golf fees would stay the exact same for another 3 more years. If you're into using the fitness centers, the pools, the beach, range balls, all those things would stay exactly the same if approved. Unfortunately, if the assessment increase is not approved, we are going to have to increase some of our amenity usage fees. So our annual golf green fees would increase by $150. Secondary, the spouse would increase by $100. We have a lot of golfers that are now pay-as-you-play, so they pay green fees when they are playing. That would go up by $7. Range buckets would go from free to $1 with an activity card. Boat registrations would go up by $75 annually. Slip rentals by $150. And for pool, beach, and fitness, it would go with an activity card to $1. Also, the activity card would go up by $10. All this information in full detail is covered in the brochure, and that information is available on our website. I always like to remind everybody of some of the critical capital projects that we've accomplished over the last 3 years. We have the BVRC renovation, and that includes new fitness equipment at BVRC. That opened in 2023. We've added additional pickleball courts. We now have 4 fish production ponds. We've worked with the Trailblazers, and we added a treehouse park. That's the park that is behind Casey's off the main highway. The Highlands Fairway, that is currently underway. I like to point out that when we did initial work at Highlands on the fairways, we rented the sod to sprig machine, and in this case, we've purchased 2 of them. And that cost us $70,000. The purpose of purchasing them is we have every intention of doing additional fairways in the future. Kingsdale and BB65, that opened mid-year last year. The pistol and rifle range just recently opened. If you haven't been out there, I encourage you to do so. And Tanyard Creek practice facility just recently opened. So we're just bringing all these capital projects to everybody's attention. We have 3 community informational meetings coming our way. So at BVRC on June 2nd at 4 p.m., at Metfield on June 18th at 4 p.m., and at Branchwood on June 16th at 10 a.m. So we've tried to cover the map in all 3 areas and even give you a couple different timeline start times to try and make it convenient for your calendar. All this information is available on the POA's website. Okay, so I just gave you a real brief intro on that. And of course, if you come to the community informational meeting, I will stay as long as you need me to if you have questions. All right, let's talk about the audited financial statements for 2024. And I'll remind people that we have a wealth of information on our website, all our financial information. I think we have 15 years worth of audited financials that are available on our website. Plus, on a monthly basis, we post a ton of information. So first off, congratulations to our accounting team for another clean audit. Beth's here. So congratulations to her and her team. No adjustments, no corrections. That's very impressive. Many years in a row that we've had a clean audit. Also, notes is the information today is provided from the 24 audited financials. The board already voted on April 24th to approve the audited financials. The video for that meeting is available on our website. And the audit is also available on our website. I already mentioned that. Okay, couple things. Amenity usage has just gone way up. This is just the last year from 2023 to 2024. You see that golf rounds increased by 6.6%. They went from 203,200 in 2023 up to 216,000. I mention this because the rounds were back in 2019, the rounds were as low as 120,000 rounds. So we're almost 100,000 over what it was in 2019. Driving range was down, but we had Tanyard Creek closed for most of that period. I can tell you this is our future numbers are going to be astronomical because Tanyard Creek is just breaking records with the amount of buckets that we're putting out every single day. Way more compared to when we were open previously. Fitness beach pools is up quite a bit, but also keep in mind those numbers are a little impaired because BVRC was closed for portions of 2023, but those numbers up to 34%. The gun range is way down because we are closed for renovation, so those numbers really don't apply. Boat registrations are up by 5.2%. Most of those increases are kayaks. And then activity card sales are up by 7.6%. We're at 19,900, and back in 2019, at that time it was called the photo ID card, but we sold 10,000 in that year. So we're up almost double that. So usage of our amenities is way up, although the comparisons to prior year get a little messed up because of some of our amenities were closed. All right, let's look at the balance sheet. So current assets increased by $965,000. The primary driver for that was higher cash balances and pre-paid expenses, particularly offset by a decrease in investments and receivables. And all this information, there's the audit financials is probably a 30-40 page report, so I'm giving you just a snapshot. If you really want to get into it, it's all available on our website, and you can go to it at your heart's content. Property and equipment increased by $4.2 million. We had multiple projects going on, and so that's going to drive up that number. And then operating expenses, right-to-use expenses went up. Right-to-use leases went up by $492,000. The increase is due to the addition of new lease agreements and the continued recognition of multiple year leases. Right-to-use leases this is something kind of new. It's a change that went through how many years ago? A couple of years ago? Yeah, but it's something new. If you've been out of the business industry for a while, it's something that's brand new. So total assets went up by $5.7 million, and you can see the graph on the right-hand side comparing it to 2023. Balance sheet, you can see that current liabilities went up by $650,000. Prepaid deposits, which were partially offset by a reduction in accounts payable and contract liabilities. Long-term debt went up by $3.5 million, and a lot of that is borrowing related to our capital projects. And then operating leases went up by $435,000, and members' equity went up by $1.1 million. So total increase is 5.7. Our income statement, you can see that our total revenue went up by $2.3 million. You can see what led the way was our assessments of $662,000, and water utilities increased by $722,000. And then we have additional other increases from golf, and Recreation Center. Keeping in mind that Recreation Center was closed for part of that for 2023. Total expenses went up by almost $2 million. Wages and salary up $1 million in response to staffing enhancements and market adjustments. The market for employees is very tough. We've had to get much more aggressive when it comes to benefits and pay. Cost of sales also went up by $0.26 million. Anytime you have an increase in revenue, you're going to have an increase in expenses. So more hamburgers sold, more patties purchased, that kind of stuff. And then environmental expenses, which is mainly Trafalgar went way down. We had some of those expenses in 2023, but we didn't have nearly as much in 2024. So excess or deficit over revenue, it was an increase of $333,000, and that's explained in there. All right, cash. Here we've given you 3 years worth of cash, and you see that increased by $1.3 million. Always like to point out this is our consolidated financials. When you're looking at our audited financials, it's always consolidated, so it's POA and water. I probably should have said that at the very beginning. Cash increased from $233,000 to $1.5 million, primarily due to timing of year-end investments, investment liquidation, and operating cash flow. So you see that we improved over prior year, but not quite as good as 2022, but we also had a lot of capital investments during that period. Non-performing lots, I always like to share this because this is an annual report, and each year when we have the cutoff for those members that are in good standing and can vote for the new board, we always run the report on the number of lots that are not paying assessments. okay? So non-performing is they're not paying, or they're ones that are owned by the POA. So if the POA owns a lot, we're of course not going to pay ourselves. So back in 2016, the POA owned approximately 700 lots. We're down to about 30 or 40 at this point, but it's come way down. So you'll see that all the way from 2015, we've come way down. At that point, we were at 20.6% of all of our properties were not paying their assessments. We're now down to 2.3%, which is really, really impressive. So that means back in 2015, we had 8,035 lots in our community that were not paying assessments, and we're now down to 906. When I talk to people, I refer to this is an ongoing, decade-long effort by our accounting department, our collections department, our legal department, and this kind of performance is like Olympic record breaking. That's how I'd compare it. Doing an outstanding job. Also, during this same time period, we've gone from 13,400 improved lots to 16,600. What does this all mean? Well, as we bring in more money from people that previously were not paying, that allows us to go to the membership and only ask for a $5 increase as opposed to a $15 or a $16 increase. So the management team is trying to get it done to soften the blow, but we still need an increase. Let's talk about April of this year. Year to date, you'll see that our revenue is struggling a little bit. 17,000, not too far off the mark. Don't forget, it was only a couple months ago. We had a bunch of snow on the ground, and seems like every time we have rain, it's always on the weekend, and that impacts our revenue. So you see that we're doing okay, but we're slightly behind. Our operating expense is about $130,000 better than budget, so our EBITDA is $72,000 better than budget, but trailing prior year. So we're doing okay. If we can get some good weather, we'd be doing even better. But unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. Kind of a whirlwind presentation of the annual financials. You can absolutely go online and research those yourself. Please mark your calendar for May 19th of 2026 when our 60th, that's pretty impressive, our 60th board meeting or annual meeting will take place. And we always want to thank, the board always wants to thank all the volunteers that make our community a special place, all our committee members, the board members, and everybody else that contributes to making Bella Vista a special place to live. Open forum questions. And if you have a question, it's limited to 3 minutes, and I'm going to sit down, but if anybody wants to come to the microphone and ask a question, Jason will call on them.
Jessica, do we have any sign up? Okay. Yep, please.
I have to say, I don't know the rules here, so if I do something wrong, just tell me, okay? We've been in Bella Vista, my husband and I, for about 1.5 years, and we are actually renters in the Drake Courts, and his brother owns the unit that we are in. He is the owner. But I am here today mostly to represent our neighbor who shares the unit with us, and she's in the, next door. She owns hers, but we are renting ours right next to her. She has a little bit of language barrier and doesn't always understand everything, so she asked me to kind of speak for her, okay? So, and I don't know, I am a social worker and have a private practice counseling office in Arkansas, so I know a lot, but I don't know a lot about Bella Vista and how things work as far as the POA versus the Townhouse Association, and I don't know that yet. I just haven't learned all of that about who does what. And so her concern is the fee increase. She is low income, so you have some people obviously in Bella Vista who are low income and some who are not low income. She doesn't use the amenities. She doesn't ever use the amenities. So her concern is to have another increase when she's already kind of at her max monthly of what she can put out on, you know, on a regular basis. And so I don't know how you all have, all of these years, even dealt with that, because you have such a wide range in Bella Vista of income and people who have a lot of assets and don't have a lot of assets. But we wanted to come and say, you know, that would be her concern. And if what I was hearing in that whirlwind report, if I was hearing that right, it sounds like either everyone pays to help keep the amenities low, or you pay as you use the amenities. Am I hearing that right? I mean, like you said, that there might be an increase of the amenities if the vote is not in favor of
So
raising the fee, is
You
that
go
right?
ahead and make your statement. It's not like a Q&A back
Yeah.
and forth. So just,
Okay. So anyway, the concern is that that would be hard on people who are low income to have an increase in fees, and especially if they don't use the amenities, so, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I would say this. So first of all, this board, the POA board, does not have any control over the Townhouse Association. So that's totally separate, separate legal entity. So, you know, their monthly assessments are higher than the POA's, and we have zero control over that. That's 100% them. So if you ever have concerns about what you're paying the Townhouse Association, you have to address it with the Townhouse Association board. I would say this is approximately 60 to 70% of Bella Vista residents use our amenities in one way or another. Whether they're golfers, hikers, bikers, swimmers, tennis players, pickleballers, fishers, or, you know, a little bit of the above. What I am particularly proud of, and I know the board is also, is we are able to provide outstanding amenities at a great value. $45, which what we're proposing, we get so many people that move into this area and they think it should be $240 or $340. So what we do for $45, I really am proud of. And we were founded as an amenities-based community, and we continue to be an amenities-based community. If you actually go back to the governing documents that were written in 1965, it's about a 30 or 40 page document. It's really dry. The second paragraph talks about we are an amenities-based community. So that's what we do, is we have a lot of amenities, and we use those assessments to offset the cost of operating lakes, golf courses, tennis, everything. But what we try and do is we try and use good business practices to keep the increases as reasonable as possible. I gave you the slide about the non-performing lots. That's bringing in a significant amount of money, which allows us, instead of having a $15 or $16 increase, we're only asking for $5. That's pretty good. The last increase we had was in 2023, and that was $3, even better. So we tried to keep the increases as reasonable as possible. I also like to point out that in some ways, Hot Springs Village is very similar to us, both founded by Cooper. We're 5 years older than them, and they're at 110 or 120, and we're proposing 45. So we're very proud that we can provide a great value to our membership.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Call for adjournment, all right? Meeting adjourned.